the robot operating system runs on top of Ubuntu mostly at this point. There's no reason it can't support anything else. It just hasn't been written yet. And it has so far worked well for a wide variety of robots. You know, we've got everything from the PR2, which is sort of a wheeled, armed robot. There's humanoid robots that run it. There's, you know, things like the TurtleBot. There's helicopters. They all run ROS. So it's pretty flexible in terms of making what you want happen. I can tell you right now, in terms of papers published and researchers, there are an awful lot of the world's top roboticists using ROS at the university level. And I think that's a lot of what's pushing it forward. You know, you have people generating mapping algorithms for 3D mapping who are writing their algorithms with ROS drivers, right? They're writing their paper, they're writing the ROS driver, and that's it. They're not writing anything else. They're not.
Then they graduate.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think there's a lot of momentum behind ROS, and I see it as a way forward for taking care of a lot of what's hard about software. Because ROS is originally a project started by Willow Garage, who built the PR2, and it has been an open source robotics project for years now, and a lot of the research community's been contributing it. Like all the software for the helicopter stuff has been published on the internet. So that's from my research lab published a lot of software, and then my company's published a lot of software.
But this is a collaborative project with Willow, right?
Yeah. So Willow is basically sort of Willow owns the trademark for the TurtleBot, but we're one of the authorized manufacturers of the TurtleBot. There's 2 others, I think, at the moment. So there's different groups producing the hardware, and it's open source hardware and open source software. We don't have software for the firmware, though, for the base. Basically, it uses a diffraction pattern in like a lens, and it applies a spray of points.
It's called organized light.
In a structured light. Sort of the more common term, but the points are in a known pattern, and then you have a camera, and it forms basically a stereo pair. So it works in a lot of ways similar to stereo vision, but instead of both seeing, one's projecting and one's receiving the projection and computing the horizontal translation. Yeah, basically. So that all runs on the Kinect. The Kinect for this robot, runs a dual-core Atom processor at the moment for the netbook. But anything around that CPU speed would be fine.
Yeah, because one of the things I was asking about with the processing power going forward, it seems like you want to get away from the laptop as soon as possible. Because nowadays, you can get a dual-core Android tablet.
It's not. The problem is, we're estimating. So the biggest problem with the Kinect is the Kinect is streaming something on the order of 1024 by 768 by 32-bit color by 24-bit depth.
Right. But there's multiple streams because you have the video stream, then you have the depth map.
Yep.
And then I guess
there's also an IR map you can access, or you can get IR reflectivity out separately. Basically, the Kinect just about fills a 12 megabit per second USB 2 stream.
Okay.
Now I know that's not exactly true, but the easiest way to think about it is to assume that it fills a 12 megabit per second USB 2 stream, and then work backwards from there to figure out your CPU power needed and the memory bandwidth needed just to pare that down. So we predict, based on our experience building robots, that we're still 1 to 2 generations out from Android devices being able to support it. If Moore's Law holds, or kind of holds, somewhere around 18 to 36 months from now, we'll be entirely tablet-based. But between then, there's probably going to be a weird, awkward state.
Yeah.
So we're trying to stick with netbooks as long as we can because they're cheap.
Yeah, tablets really don't offer that many USB ports. They're not very fast.
So
the CPU might be fast, but the RAM usually tablets top out around.
So if you exclude the Kinect from this for a moment, and you don't worry about that, you can install. If you wanted to use computer vision, let's say, to guide the robot, you could build a computer vision based robot. You could put an Arduino on this, and then this could mount here, and then you could put an Arduino Mega ADK. They could plug into the Android device, and then you could plug that into the base,
and run everything off of that.
And then run everything off the tablet. It's doable now, but you can't run the Kinect. The driver issue is less my concern than the memory bandwidth.
Oh, okay.
Because you've got to get it out of the USB 2 without losing sync of your isochronous stream thing in the USB 2. So you have to pull the data out fast enough, otherwise the Kinect will crash.
Yeah.
Or at least the Kinect driver crashes if you don't pull the data out fast enough usually. So my suspicion is that if the memory bandwidth is fast enough to be able to pull the full 12 megabit per second stream and then filter it, you're fine. But I don't think the Android device is quite capable of it yet, or you might get 1 frame a second, and that may or may not be enough. I mean, feel free to experiment. It's just not. It's, as far as I know, it's not productizable yet. So we have support for all of these different types of interaction and different types of building robots. It's just, this is a platform to get you started with robotics. If you don't know anything else, and if you have a software background and you want to get into robotics, or you have an electrical background and want to get into robotics, this is a great platform to start with. Because it gets you something that moves to start. And that gets you past that first hurdle that makes things fun. Because before you get to it actually moving, you just have a lot of work that's not fun.